All right, this is just a very long way to talk about how we can set things with a radio button and then use another button or something to actually apply the settings. For instance, here we have froggy shipping. Maybe it's less distracting if I do that for now. So today, if I ship 10 pounds and I want it to arrive today, going to cost me 500 bucks. Okay. If I'm willing to have it arrive in a month, it'll cost me 85 bucks, $8.50 a pound. If I'm willing to take a year, it'll cost me 50 bucks, and so on. So here's the thing: we click the button. The button gives us a setting, and after we have the setting that we want, then we come back in here. We calculate the cost, and it uses the rate that's here to calculate the cost. So this is the second kind of way that we can use radio buttons. And you notice that we're going to be using a list again. In this case, I wanted to pull this out a little bit, so I reduced the indent up here, but that's not a big thing. That's a CSS thing here. So here's the weight area where I can enter it. Here's the input field. Up here, this is the place where I can put the cost. When I reset here, you'll notice that it says uncalculated. That's what it has to start off with. Then we have speed of shipping, and within the speed of shipping area, then we have all of our different rates here, and the rates all have radio buttons to go with them, and each one has a label. Okay, so that's what we've got. You notice that we're using the value to hold the shipping amount per pound, so that'll be helpful to us. So I have 50 pounds here, I have 1750 here, 1250, and so on. You can see how that works. And then down here I have two buttons, tally and reset. Reset just sets it back to its original condition. And if we come up here, you can see tally gives us app-ns order. And I'm sorry, it's not tally that I want. It's reset first. That's the easy one. Reset. And here's the reset function. So it sets the cost here to uncalculated. The weight value is empty. The weight area gets the focus. And it says, you notice how it says RT0 checked is true. I've named these RT0, RT1, RT2, RT3, RT4 for IDs. And so it sets this to be the default because, of course, we want people to use the more expensive option, right? Better profit margin for the froggy shipping company. All right, so what we really want to look at, what really matters at this point, is what happens when we click the tally button. That's this calculate cost button right here. So what does that do? Well, it says it's app-ns order. So let's go see what app-ns order looks like. Here it is. So we have the rate, the weight, the shipping cost, and all of that we just set to 0 to start off with, okay? We also here use util.name to get the collection for all of these. So this is going to have a length of 5. The first one will have the information for the first button, the second one for the second button, and so on all the way down. So now the next thing we have to do is check for weight, because we could have something silly. Someone that is silly and puts that in there and says, nope, can't do it. And so that's what's happening here. We calculate the weight with parse float. If it's not a number, so if weight is not a number, or it's less than or equal to 0, then we pop an alert box, we set the focus back on weight here, and we return. Okay, so that's what happens there. Now, if we make it past this, that is, they sent in a decent number, something like that, and then calculated it, then we come in and do the calculation. Now, this for loop right here is going through, and it's first, what it does is it's just stepping through these. So suppose this is the one that I have. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what it does is on index 0, it checks to see if that particular button is checked. If it's true, then it would stop right there, but it's not true because it's the fourth one here, right? At least when we calculate the cost that way. And so it tried 0 and that didn't work. So it comes up, increments I. Now it tries 1. 1 is this one. That's not checked. So the if is not true, so it skips the body of the if, comes back up here, tries 2. Well, 2 would be this one. That's false because that one's not checked. So it skips the body of the if, comes back up, increments, comes in and checks the I again. I is now 3. We have 0, 1, 2, 3. And yes, this one is checked. So now it goes into the if part here, and it does a parse float on the value where the index is 3. That means it's using 0, 1, 2, 3, this one here. So it gets 850, and that's the value that it's using right up here. It does a parse float, so it turns it into a float and saves it in rate. And then we break. You remember what that does? That just makes the loop stop. So that means loop, you don't have to go on and check this one. I already know what I need to know. So the loop just stops right there and drops out. And now we calculate the cost. And this uses a math function. There are all kinds of math functions. If you Google JavaScript math, you'll find them. What this does is that if you have a number that has a fraction in it, so suppose it was 3.3, it moves it up to 4. Notice how this says or fraction thereof. So if there's any fraction, even if it was 3.001, it's going to treat it as if it were 4 pounds. It just moves it up, multiplies it by the rate, and then that's the shipping cost, and then it outputs the shipping cost right up there. So here's an example, again, of how you can use radio buttons to select something, but they don't really get evaluated until you do something else, like click the cost button. And then it comes in here, uses this for loop to find out which button was clicked, and then does the appropriate thing for that button.